Los Angeles County was fined in the spring of 2025 $2 billion to pay in compensation to people who had been housed in foster homes and had been sexually abused while in the foster homes. At first glance, you hear this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. How bad could it be? You don't have a caregiver and for some reason you were placed in a foster home and then they sexually abuse you to be even further traumatized for the rest of your life. I happen to know one of these 13-year-olds who was taken to be housed in a foster home. I'm a dermatologist. I'm Dr. Jack Silvers in West Los Angeles. My hairdresser a few years ago was a single lady in her late 50s. She took charge of caring for her 13-year-old granddaughter, whose mom was found to be a drug addict, and her father didn't think that she should stay at home while the mother was going through treatment, or for some reason maybe she didn't want to give up doing drugs. The grandmother, I could feel, pampered her. She even brought the granddaughter to the salon a few times. Once or twice I saw her, and was pampering her, enrolled her in the best high school in the neighborhood that she could. Then this 13-year-old started misbehaving a little bit, coming home late. It sounded like she's hanging with the wrong crowd. So she tried to draw some boundaries for her, including punishing her to disconnect her cell phone for a day or two. The 13-year-old girl called the Department of Child Protection Services. She was taken to a foster home 60 miles away in East LA. This hairdresser lady had to pay $2,200 for attorney fees to get her granddaughter back. And she did not dare to draw boundaries again for her. And every day she was afraid that this girl is going to call again Department of Child Protection Services. They will take her away, and maybe this time she has to pay $4,400 to get her back. A few months later, the teenage girl was asked to go back home to live with her parents again. I asked an attorney patient of mine, why do I or my medical assistant have to work to pay taxes because somebody sexually abused these teenagers? How are we responsible to pay for this? He said, well, they sue at the deepest pockets. Just like Gavin Newsom sued Pacific Gas and Energy for the fire in Paradise. There's global warming, there are too many humans in the world, we cause too much pollution and CO2 production. Yet Pacific Gas and Energy had the highest, the deepest pockets, so they were sued. The same with Edison in West Los Angeles for the recent fire, even though these utility companies aren't the sole reason as to why such fires happen. This notion of suing the deepest pockets, it doesn't fail to hurt the very people that the rule makers try to protect. How is paying compensation to these people going to fix anything? We really need Elon Musk to come and fire all of these people in Department of Child Protection Services. They need to be put to test. They need to be asked to read the book Thinking Fast and Slow to understand their biases. Why do you suppose there is no such thing as a Nobel Prize for psychology? Because in the field of psychology, there is no right or wrong answer. One psychologist can come and say something, be praised, and then 5 years later, another psychologist or group of other psychologists rise to say, no, that guy is wrong for this aspect, this is correct. And here we are. there is no right or wrong to raise a child. I think beating a child, I think a child being exposed to drug addict or alcoholic parents is something, but a grandma who's trying to draw boundaries to raise a good child, you take the child away from her, put her in a stranger home with a stranger man, with other teenagers in there, and that's called safety. And then you make us work to pay taxes because collectively we have the deepest pocket. I wish I was the founding father of the United States. I wish I would ask the rules and laws be set in a way that no one ends up in a sexual relationship that doesn't end up in long-term happiness of both parties. No one should steal, no one should be stolen from. No one should commit murder, no one should be murdered. But in the United States, I guess we hate Jews and Judaism so much that this sounds too Jewish to have such laws. Yet we have this noble notion of equality that any teenager who calls and complains about her caregiver, she can be taken away to put in foster care, to teach a lesson to the parents, to respect the wishes and the happiness of children. Dr. Anna Lembke, who is a psychiatrist, runs an addiction clinic in Stanford. The author of the bestseller book, The Dopamine Nation, explains how in the United States we constantly seek a greater and greater amount of dopamine. And if the grandmother or the parents don't draw boundaries to control the amount of dopamine these children want to just consume and be exposed to, then they would seek more and more, and then they need drugs to give them enough dopamine, and here we are. I urge you to look into this. This may be just one case. The first bias that Daniel Kahneman in the book Thinking Fast and Slow explains is the law of small numbers. I may just be talking about one incident that I know, but chances are, if this is how this department behaved, there are many other cases that teenage girls were taken away and placed in a foster home because the parents drew boundaries and the teenager thought that the caregiver is too mean to them. The two attorneys who have litigated these cases for the people who were sexually abused in the foster care homes are about to pocket hundreds of millions of dollars from LA County. Tax dollars that people who work hard, who've earned, have to pay taxes, and they pocket it because they have brought forth the case for these people. I now realize that democratic lawmakers make the rules just to feed the attorneys. It's as if these people are what are upholding the laws, and they make the society better. Do they really? I don't understand why my medical assistant and I are supposed to work, go home tired. I sit on my chair many days after work just thinking what a day it was. I'm tired. And these people are going to pocket over $1 billion of our tax dollars. And how's that going to change anything? And there are doctors who are being sued for sexual harassment and wrongful termination just because they offered genital health care in their offices and the employee felt what they did was gross. And when the plaintiff was asked gross in a sexual way, she said no. Doctors aren't prescribing estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone to menopausal women because they are afraid of being sued for the ordinary things women die of. And our governor just increased the amount of the reward the attorneys can collect to incite them, to provoke them to bring more lawsuits so that they think this makes the medical care better. I invite you to research this matter yourself, and if you please share this video, others can leave comments, and we'll have views of all different sides of this matter. And hopefully these comments will reach our lawmakers. Less children would be harmed, less children would be taken to foster care for no good reason, and we'll have a better world.